everyone. Welcome back again to Spiritual Growth Tarot and Astrology. This is your astrological transits, or these will be, these are your astrological transits for the week of August 27th, I have to look at my notes here, to September 2nd. So there's a lot happening this week. We have on Sunday, Mars moves into Libra, and then there's several really important aspects to the moon, or coming off of the moon, to Pluto, Jupiter, and Saturn. And then on Wednesday, we have the Pisces full moon. So I'm going to talk about all those great things, and let me swap out cameras. I'll be right back. Bring you over my table. Hold on. Okay, so before we get started, I forgot to say that Uranus goes retrograde this week as well. So, but before, again, get started for the second time, I wanted to introduce this book that I received from KG Styles. And it's for next year, but it's available already on Amazon, and it's lovely. I mean, I've been kind of thumbing through it and looking at all of the offerings here, and it's unbelievable. But here's her background. So she's a certified clinical aromatherapist and founding director of Pure Plant Essentials. So if you go to her page on Amazon, it's KG Styles. She has written so many books, and this one gives us all of this for the whole year 2024. So, it'll be nice to go through the supermoons with her, and if you're into essential oils, I think you might love this book. But I love it just for the astrology alone. If you're not into anything else, but I always have my crystals and stuff around me, and I absolutely love essential oils. So, anyway, I wanted to share that with you. I'll probably bring some more information into next year. Yeah, I love it. So for this week, starting off Sunday here, Mars, so we're coming in at 6:20 a.m. Pacific. Mars is over here, and I gave up on the stylus. I'm back to my chopstick and my finger, so I'm not drawing. I don't need it. But anyway, Mars comes in, like I was saying, 6:20 a.m. Pacific time, Sunday morning, and it is trying to Pluto right up here. So that makes that really important. Mars trying Pluto brings us the opportunity to, it's an easier opportunity. Sextile is that opening, and then by the time we've worked our way up to the trine, it's more of a graceful, easier flow. But from Libra to Capricorn, Libra energy, wants to balance things out. It wants things peaceful. It wants justice. And I could just bet that we're going to be seeing, well, of course, this is Thursday, and this is the day that Trump is supposed to be turning himself in, surrendering to Fulton County, Georgia courthouse to be fingerprinted, booked, mugshot, all that. And, he'll be in and out within an hour because, presidents don't sit in jail for too long until they get there for a good length of time or something else happens. And I don't mean that in a negative way, but yeah, there are just so many ways this could go in the future. But anyway, back to Mars. For us, Mars trine Pluto, this can bring in very powerful relationships that bring in that fun quality of that bridge. I always look at Libra and see the little glyph of a bridge. So I believe we're bridging in relationship to people who have integrity. With Pluto and Capricorn, it's at the highest levels. Again, I keep saying this over and over again, it is standing in your true authority because you're unflappable, because you're not going to fall to any dark forces, right? You're at this point, if you've been working it well from, since 2008, by the time Pluto gets to 28 degrees, it was at 29 and now it's retrograded back. If you don't know what is good or corrupt by this point, you haven't been paying attention. So, on the dark side, this brings up corruption and greed and racism and my way is the only way kind of a thing, and climbing over other people to get to the top. And so there you have it. There you have people like Rudy Giuliani and Roger Stone just holding on to their corruption because they just won't surrender, right? Neptune, by the way, is over here in the opportunistic sextile up to Pluto, over here holding space for surrender, holding space for, oh, and I have chills right now, opening up to all the source energy and knowing that there's always a way through any challenge, no matter how bad it is, if they would just align themselves with the forces of love, which is truth. Love and truth are the same. So opening up to the real truth, the United States does have a constitution, there are amendments, there are laws. One of them is not to try to turn over an election after it's been called. So there you have it. That might be the only political statement I'm going to make, but I just had to get that out of the way because Mars moving into Libra brings us that flavor of justice. Mars motivates us. Mars is the planet that moves energy and gets us going. It will fight. It will activate something in your chart. But most of all, it's going to motivate you to achieve something. So in Libra, especially with this opposition to Neptune and Pisces, there's that wanting for peace. There's not the want of fight, really. There's the want of justice. There's the want of equality. There's the caring about Pisces, caring about equality, right? Yeah, justice always wins in the end, even if it's not on this earthly plane, and the people involved cross over. Then we bring it through into our next lifetime. It matters what you do, down to your last breath. And the little things matter. The attitudes and the small little day-to-day actions are what matter. And that's especially evident, with the sun moving towards Mercury in Virgo, and Mercury retrograde. Somebody out there going to be a vegan? maybe that's what's going on. Because Virgo is all about health. Virgo rules the digestive system and our entire abdomen, and even, I don't know exactly how many planets might be involved with all the different parts of the endocrine system, but that whole area, being, we do have. I do think it's like pancreas could be Virgo, for sure abdomen area, digestive system. I'm thinking upper abdomen, but I do see solar plexus as being, like the right below the heart chakra. And the heart, the solar heart. So there, and the upper back would be Leo. Virgo's definitely the upper part of the tummy, or right under the heart, and then the whole other, lower part of our tummy, like the second chakra, that's all reproductive area, that's all Scorpio. But we have to remember that the endocrine system takes care of all of our hormones and our pituitary gland, where we receive intuitive insights. And so there's so much connection between that Virgo Pisces polarity here, that's that we had, because we've already had the Mercury opposing for Neptune. But so now that Mercury's going backwards, we're going over that point, but it'll hit again, right? So we're going to have this opportunity. So suffice to say, if anyone's out there dealing with diet issues, figuring out what works for your body, what scheduling might help to support balance in your body, and I'm speaking to the nodes, I'm speaking to many things that are going on here without naming them so I don't distract from, because you throw in an extra language like astrology into the message, it can be distracting. So just suffice to say that this is a perfect time and all the way through September 15th and beyond, this is a very, very good time to get in touch with the type of a structure in your daily life that would support balance. Because the more we're balanced, the more we don't want to run towards, anything that tries. So the deal is, when we're talking about addictions of any type, whether it be sugar or alcohol or too much caffeine or any foods that cause inflammation in your body, that will cause problems in that would be the tummy area, and our tummy is just everything when it comes to, in our endocrine system, when it comes to creating health. Without that, we just can't really. Without a healthy endocrine system and stomach, we can't metabolize life itself, right? So yeah, the endocrine system and metabolizing life is all Virgo territory and sixth house territory. So wherever Virgo is in your chart, the more peace you can bring in and balance into that area of your life, the more it will support your health. And then whatever's going on in your sixth house natally, I should say, is really important as well when it comes to your health, because that's how your health operates in a perfect way for you, whatever's going on in your sixth house. Natally. But then with transits coming through there, then you get, you'll have opportunities to shift things that work well for you. So anyway, with Mars here, now I'm going to focus here on Mars opposing Neptune a little bit more, because Mars can help us move away from all the grief and the anxiety and the fear and the depression that Saturn in Pisces has been bringing up. And also the Sun is opposing Saturn. It was last week, and it continues, still not out of orb. So again, there's that shining light, that spotlight on what is causing the grief and the anxiety, and what are the fears, right? What are we depressed about? If there's something that has been repressed, we can bring it up and out and work with it. But if we're trying to escape, with Saturn and Neptune in Pisces, and both retrograde no less, this is such an internal process to let go of all the means of trying to escape the emotional pain. Like I said, drugs, alcohol, food, any form of numbing out, even shopping, even just keeping busy. And that's especially apparent with Mercury in Virgo and the Sun in Virgo this month. No, there's nothing wrong with being busy, but if you're getting out of balance, if you find yourself moving through the day, pushing yourself in any way, you might want to stop and just give yourself a lot of little breaks. And you might find out, like, your meals, maybe you do better with a bunch of small little meals, even though it's so darn inconvenient to cook, or just stop and prepare food 5 or 6 times a day. But or it's just portion control. Maybe it's something like that. And you're learning. And so there encompasses the South Node in Libra, which again is all about balance. And the balance will give you more energy to move forward with that North Node and this whole stellium here in Aries. And that might just be what is needed, right? You go back and you realize where you were out of balance, and that helps you to move forward, which is just perfect. So, okay, what else with Mars? Let's look at all the aspects to Mars as it has newly moved into Libra. And Mars isn't like, when Uranus goes retrograde, we might not even really notice it. That happens on Monday, happens to, the day after this chart, but it doesn't move fast enough for us to notice anything, but Mars does. Mars is cooking. And even though it's not in Aries, it's still movement, and it's movement towards peace. And it is moving towards the South Node. So moving towards balance and peace and, equality. Let's see. Or reasonableness is another a good key word for Libra energy. Like, what is reasonable? We're dealing with an air sign there. Let's see, what else? Mars, with the trine to Pluto, I've spoken about that. We have a sesquisquare here to Jupiter, so again, there could be some stubborn energy that really wants to connect, but someone over here would just rather eat a bunch of food and not connect with you. Or maybe someone's stubbornly holding on to their money, and or other, Taurus happenings. But then again, Taurus, just think about, or it could be because, Taurus rules the neck and the throat. It could be that they're not going to be speaking up much, and there's a cat and mouse kind of a game, like one side's a little pushy and the other one's gone into withdrawal. And Taurus energies can be a little stubborn already, so we have to be careful with that. We don't want to hurt anyone's feelings if they're needing space. We don't want to push on them, but just let them know the invitation's there if they want to talk. Or from the other side, if someone is going outside of the relationship because they just really want to connect with this Mars and Libra, the Taurus person can be sitting over here going, well, wait, what am I, chopped liver? Because Taurus energy, no matter what, and especially when Jupiter's involved, it can be a little excessive, but no matter what, we'll always go for whatever brings more security, and faithfulness. Both Taurus and its polar opposite Scorpio are extremely loyal and committed. They're not the type, it's not like Sagittarian energy where they want a lot of freedom and they want to explore what everything means. Taurus and Scorpio energy are it's about ownership and security and being faithful to your principles, right? Only trouble is they can get stuck and they don't like being pushed. And they've already been pushed already with Jupiter opening up and expanding. Anybody with any planets placements at even a hot point in your chart with Taurus, they've been going through it already. And, there's still another 6 months or so of this. And Jupiter will go retrograde on the 3rd. So that's coming through, next month. Next month. Next month is a few days. So September 3rd. Okay, let's see what else. Really, we did speak to the opposition quite a little bit here. And we'll see as, we're going day by day. You'll see how fast Mars moves. Mercury usually moves faster, but Mercury's retrograde, so there's that. And we had enough of Mercury conjunct Mars together, even when it wasn't retrograde, didn't we? A lot of mental energy and nervous energy, a lot of news. So now the news will be going back. With Mercury retrograde, the news will be going back over what happened in the past. A lot of details coming out about what happened in the past, which is good. So anyway, with Mars opposing Neptune, this again is, we're going to have to be careful for relationship addictions, relationships that are based in illusion, like fantasizing, things like that. Putting someone on a pedestal is predominant with especially Neptune retrograde. And especially because Neptune and the sign of Pisces are very social media oriented already. There could be a lot of, like celebrity relationship issues that come out, like we heard about, what's her name, Britney Spears going through a divorce. I think just things like that you can expect. But in our personal lives, balance, now to play this out really well, because these oppositions always do bring a breakthrough if you work the energy well. So if we're working the energy well, we're moving towards more balance in our lives. And wherever Libra shows up in your chart will be the house, the area of your life that'll be activated. And then you have your spiritually sourced energy at the other end. So again, if you want balance and peace in your life, you have to know yourself very well. You have to be very honest with yourself. And you have to be very honest in relationships, and you can't put somebody on a pedestal, or you can't put yourself above them either, because that's, that can be one of the major issues. And if you're working through something like that with someone, you can get a lot done, which is great. Let's see, what else? I think that's about it because we covered the sesqui square. Yeah, as it moves forward, we'll do a little bit more. But the backdrop I've spoken to Pluto squaring the nodes so much, I think I'll just let that go this week. The Sun opposite Saturn, I dove into the end of last week, and of course those timestamps are in there. You can always go back and listen, and the Sun's moving out of, it'll move out of orb pretty quickly. But it's still there. So there's a reality check. The details and the facts are here, and Saturn's over here, and Pisces going, well, but wait, I want it to be this way. And the Sun's going, but it's actually this way because I have the proof, and it's not good. It doesn't look like what you're seeing over here. Because Saturn rules the government. It rules regulations and laws, rules and regulations. And, especially USA, we have a constitution. It's our governing body. It's our governing document. So there will be contradictions, confrontations with that for some people, and you know who they are. And then from there, they're going to be dealing with it. Now, let's see. You can see that Venus is still in the square, even though it's moving out of orb a bit. It's not an exact orb anymore with Venus square Jupiter. So again, this is can we afford what we really want to buy? Is it the right thing to buy? Stuff like that. And same thing with relationships and what you value, because of course Venus retrograde will be focusing in on what we really want, what matters to us mostly, because we can feel it in our hearts nowadays with Venus and Leo, right? Venus helps us to unify something within, and it helps us to make comparisons based on what we really value, and it rules our relationships and our pleasure, our self-worth, and even our attitude towards women. And so with Jupiter in Taurus there, again, Venus rules Taurus. So there's a double whammy here of the issue around values. And values are changing. That's the deal. And especially, as Venus actually Jupiter's going to go retrograde, so I can't ever say that these are going to be too tight yet. That won't be for quite some time. Might even be next year, actually. So, because Jupiter's going to start going back, and Uranus just doesn't move fast enough. And at some point, Uranus will move into Gemini, and Pluto will make it to, boy, that's far off though, but Pluto will make it into Aquarius, and then we'll have aspects going on there. So anyway, I won't get too far into the future there. So let's look at some overarching, the backdrop with other aspects, just to bring in a little bit more, and then I'll look at that moon for Sunday. So again, Pluto in the sextile to Neptune. This is a nice aspect until October 22nd. There's that opportunity for more power in your spiritually sourced, activities, and then with the trine over here to Mars, there's that aspect of the architect coming through there. So there's going to be a lot more energy to go towards a way that you can really build a spiritually based foundation. And it might be, of course, it would have to be your daily practice of meditation and paying attention to your dream times and going within and really, really getting in touch with what you want and what works for you. And then another way to work with all this energy, and I'm not speaking astrologically now, I'm speaking from spiritual law, is that anytime we feel any emotions that bring up anger or anxiety or resentment, ask yourself what it is that you really want. Like what is and this would apply to Mars here, to bring some astrology into the spiritual law, because it's all the same. We're talking about the laws of the cosmos, right? Cosmic law. Mars is desire based, right? And being in Libra, we're talking about balance and equality and justice. We really want justice. And when it comes to relationships, then we're in the area of Libra as well. So if you're having if you're having feelings of resentment come up, and it's tied to the past, because it always is. Otherwise, the resentment wouldn't be there. In the moment, if it comes up, it's usually because somebody is disrespecting you, or not seeing you, or pushing on you, or it's always some form of aggression, submission, or withdrawal. Like maybe you feel like they're not being honest if they're giving to get. So there's that, and then you feel resentful because why can't they just be real with you, kind of thing. Those things do come up in the present moment, but when they come up in the present moment, they're triggering something from the past, right? So the optimal way to work with it would have to do with staying very present now and reminding yourself, oh, they're just reminding me of the way my dad always treated me, or my mom. Oh, it's my mom again, right? It's not her, it's my mom. I don't have to project this onto her. And then in that moment, you can stand up and say, well, you know what I'm feeling, and just be honest and real. Now, I'm talking in relationships that are trustworthy with loved ones. I'm not saying do this at your workplace or do this with somebody that you don't know. Then you can be, just open up and say what it is that you're really wanting, and you have to say it before you can have it come through in relationship. That's just the way it works. We're all kind of tuned into each other in our loved relationships. We're kind of psychically tuned in, but until somebody says, hey, I'm really feeling this, you don't really know for sure what they're feeling. And then the other part of it is sometimes we don't know, when on our healing path, we often don't know what we're really feeling, but something's coming up. And then again, there's that anxiety and there's that fear of being real, or there's that fear of accessing the emotional pain of the past. And what most people do is flip, and here's the Virgo Pisces polarity that can be so challenging and painful, is that the Virgo energy brings it up and it's in the body, right? Because this is an earth sign. And then it's too uncomfortable, or we want that instant pleasure because we're trying to balance out between the pain and pleasure dynamic. And we haven't really gotten yet that things on earth, well, we know things on earth are painful, but we've got this forcing current for pleasure in a challenging way that then we flip to the Pisces polarity and want to just numb out, make the pain stop somehow quickly. So my heart goes out to anyone going through all that, because it's part of being human. Okay, so now I'll go before I move on to the next chart and go a little more quickly. Let's look at this Capricorn moon coming in at 14 degrees in this Earth trine here to Jupiter, and then over to Mercury, and then Mercury is connecting both to Jupiter and Uranus in Taurus. So this is wonderful for, even though it's Sunday, there could be a lot of plans being made for the next week, and it could be a day of getting a lot accomplished, definitely getting things accomplished. So let me go ahead and let's go to Monday, the first one here that we want to look at. Of course, you can see it coming, right? The moon hit Pluto and it's made it across the other side by 5 a.m. I didn't want to plug it in at 4 a.m. because I don't know if people are up that early Pacific time. Now, East Coast, you guys are probably definitely up, and this is a very powerful day to get things done. It'll also be a very powerful day to see what comes out on the news, because the moon is often the planet that we look to. It's the luminary that we look to for the public, seeing the public. And then the sun over here with that spotlight to a sesquisquare over to Chiron. This is painful for somebody. There's a spotlight out there, just the facts, ma'am. And then Chiron's over here and Aries going, oh no. You know what I mean? So I think that it could be a day of a lot of news coming out. And then we do have Chiron here. What am I saying? Not Chiron. An inconjunct quincunx, 150-degree aspect coming from the South Node, again, wanting peace, justice, equality, mostly justice. And because without justice, we don't have peace, all right? Without equality, we don't have balance. And there's an adjustment that is going to need to be made to the people, anyone that's living in this fantasy realm, this, Neptune fantasy realm that deceives and distorts and confuses some people. False beliefs are going to need to be reckoned with and then eventually dissolved. Somehow, hopefully, dissolved. But some people will just resign and they won't look at the facts. They'll just say, they just won't even look, right? That's can be the easier way for them. So we just have to send them lots of love, but also kind of question reality. You might have a question that has, a point to it, and whether or not they accept it, or open up to it and want to talk about it in a healthy way, that's up to them, and up to you if you want to engage or not, of course. But let's see, other aspects to the moon. You can see it's joined the grand Earth trine, right? Except for, no, wait, it's not a grand Earth trine anymore because we lost our leg over here. Sorry. But we do have the Earth trine coming from Mercury to Uranus, and Jupiter barely. It's a wide orb, but because Mercury's moving this way, it is coming into orb. Mercury to Jupiter and Uranus will be again those reality checks that come through. This Mercury retrograde might be gentle on us who have been getting into the facts and the truth and paying attention to details, but it won't be to people who've been trying to distort the details and, not pay attention. But, Neptune with our higher creativity here, trining the moon, that can bring through some spiritual inspiration that helps you create something solid that lasts, or helps you get something down like into your bones where now you really know how to do something and it comes just natural. That's wonderful energy. But then Mars over here with the trine up to the moon as well is, and that will keep going out throughout the day. Again, lots of good energy to work with relationships or to work in ways that bring in more balance into your life. And then, of course, the moon in the trine down here to Uranus. Again, something surprising could come out. There's another facet of that possibility for something to come out on the news. So let's go ahead. Let's go ahead and move forward because I have another one for Monday. And you can see, so here we are, 7:39 p.m. Uranus stations retrograde. So now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 planets retrograde. The nodes don't count, but Eris has to count. So let's say 6, because Eris is a dwarf planet just as powerful as Pluto, the feminine counterpart to Mars, and I would say Pluto, because Mars is like Pluto's little brother in evolutionary astrology anyway, the way I look at it. Because Mars motivates, so does Pluto, but Pluto just takes so dang long. But, Pluto's going to finish up the job whether Mars likes it or not. Mars is going to keep going around. And with Uranus retrograde, we have, that trine that's happening to Pluto. So Uranus just remember, Uranus has to do with liberating yourself from something. It helps you to wake up to something. It can be disruptive, it can be shocking, but it can certainly help people detach from things that have been challenging. But now with this nice trine to Pluto, and also the trine over here to Mercury retrograde, and this is all in earth signs, or these are all in earth signs, and the moon's in Aquarius, which is ruled by Uranus. Again, all day long, I think Monday, news will be breaking and we will know some things. I imagine we'll see we've already seen a lot of mug shots, but we're going to see some more. And more information is going to come out. I heard this morning that Trump switched lawyers, and then, of course, today's the day he's supposed to get his mugshot in Fulton County. So, another attorney. What is it? Make attorneys get attorneys, right? I don't know who first coined that, but I think everybody heard it off of Midas Touch, maybe. Okay, so again, back to Uranus here. Sorry for all my little squirrel moments. But Uranus and Taurus is going to help us wake up even more to what we truly want, to how to go after ways of being more safe and secure. I've always seen Uranus moving through the sign of Taurus as being a lot more inventions, because Uranus rules inventions and innovation. But inventions in things that make us safer, so products and anything that brings more safety in. And of course, Uranus rules the internet It rules lasers and science and all types of technology. So imagine all the things that can be created for more safety. Yeah, but so breakthroughs with Uranus are very possible. And it could be health breakthroughs because Mercury in Virgo retrograde supports that, and with that trine especially. Yeah. And I'll get some dates for you as far as when it goes direct. I didn't run that. I already have like 8 charts for this week, so I'll keep an eye on it. So let's go ahead and go forward. So for Tuesday, we have the moon coming in, still at it's still in Aquarius, at close to the same degree as it was, when Uranus went retrograde, because it was just from 7:30 something p.m. to 5 a.m. the next morning. But the moon is squaring Jupiter. So, and it will for the next couple hours in a tight orb, actually 4 hours. But so the deal is, with moon square Jupiter, is it looks like, squares can be challenging, and there, of course, it's a tension field. But with Aquarius, well, it depends. People are going to use it in one way or another. One way could be that there's a numbing out because they don't really want to land in the pain that they're in. But if you're strong enough, there can be some objective realizations, some ability to understand where you've been overdoing it. And because, especially, see how the moon's here, Jupiter's here, and Venus is here. And this puts Jupiter here in a T-square to Venus and the moon. Right? And we've got an exact opposition here with Venus opposing the moon. So there's a confrontation between, relationships, between what you really want to do, and maybe you have now an opening and an objective way of looking at something brand new that can create a breakthrough. And then Jupiter's over here holding space for you to be to receive some type of expansion in your life, if you can work with that energy. See, I never see squares as being bad, or all these other, the red lines in the charts as being bad. I see them as contacts. There's nothing worse than when planets just don't make any contact and you can't get anything done, right? Because whether or not you're working within a tension field, or taking advantage of an opportunity, or somebody's on the other side is in an opposition and confronting you in some way, all those things are still ways to get something accomplished or work through something. There's process going on, and I love that. So also, what's happening with the moon squaring Jupiter, we're also in this. Let's see here how Mercury is in an inconjunct over to Chiron. And so this is good for healing. There will be an adjustment that needs to be made, but the contact brings in, and I didn't talk about it yesterday, but it was there for yesterday's chart, the Mercury bringing in the information and the messages, because remember, most of all, Mercury is the messenger. And with the inconjunct over to Chiron, the messages, the messenger could come through and let you know what exactly has been your deepest wounding, and working through it will bring through your greater gifts. So however you've been working in that realm will bring through, it will manifest for you, because, they're both... we've got earthly energy here, and Mercury can bring through transactional type of negotiations, because now maybe your gifts of knowing how much you matter, and knowing that you can wait, you don't have to be first, and you can create win-win situations, especially with all the Libra energy going on over here. This can actually be really good. And then again, Mars is in this inconjunct, so I'll cover the the one will stay for quite some time. This Neptune in conjunct the South Node, that stays until December 11th. So again, wisdom coming from the past in the ways that you've been able to balance out your soul substance, and then spirit is over here helping you, supporting you there. And this is wonderful for any type of art. Pisces and Libra and Taurus, art galore, art and music and any type of art, even, intuitive arts, of course. So with so that covers that one quincunx in conjunct there. Saturn with the 150-degree aspect in conjunct quincunx, same thing. Requires adjustment is basically all that you need to know. Coming off of Saturn to Mars. So Saturn's a slower moving planet, controlling things, and Saturn wants to get to in Pisces, wants to get into all the details and all the possibilities. And Mars in Libra over here is wanting to connect, is wanting to create a bridge to balance and truth. So there's going to be adjustments between the two. If somebody's broken the law, they will be finagling like crazy, trying to finesse and finagle like crazy. But Mars and Libra will continue to hold space for, for justice and fairness. And she'll be, or he, Mars, I guess more masculine, definitely is in this sign for about a month and a half. So, yeah. So it'll take us through to the eclipse is what's going to happen there, to that, the eclipse that comes up October 14th. And I'll talk about that later. So let's see, what else for the moon square Jupiter? There's the sesqui square to Mars, so there's some stubborn energy. When it comes to relationship, somebody wants to go and do and all that, and the one over here is going, wait, I had to think about it. Let's find the best way. But, it's at least they're both air signs, and there is some connection there. Let's see. When it comes to finding the best way, it actually is a good aspect. The Sun has the sesqui square going on over here to Chiron. So that, again, just reinforces that need for the facts. But it can be really good energy for turning around a false belief. Like if you've figured out what your deepest inner conflict is in some area of your life, and wherever Chiron is transiting, whatever house that is, will give you all the clues. And you'll go, oh yeah, that has been what I've been working on or working with. Well, the Sun in Virgo here can help you create an affirmative mantra to turn it around, a unitive truth to turn around the false belief. You have to discover the false belief first. And with Aries and Chiron, Chiron in Aries, that energy gives you the impetus to go for it, to figure out what it is, to question those false beliefs from all different angles, and then create a unitive statement of what the real truth is, and write it down. Write it down, put it on your altar, and look at it a lot. Remind yourself constantly. So, okay, so let's go ahead and go to Wednesday. So Wednesday, the first thing we have is the moon has moved up to Saturn by 7 a.m. Pacific time. So Wednesday, August 30th, we have the moon at 0 degrees Pisces, Saturn's at 3 degrees Pisces, and they're both opposing the sun, and we're cooking our way to the full moon. So, but first thing this morning, there is the sun in Virgo, bringing in the details, bringing in what needs to heal, bringing in information to create more divine order in your life where things just flow. And the moon is helping you understand, what needs to be done. Because Saturn's here, like, again, holding space. It's like a wall of reality going, I know what you want, but is it the right way? And the sun is shining the light, and our solar essence and our feminine essence, our divine masculine and our divine feminine, and Virgo is a feminine sign, by the way, and so is Pisces. There's a lot of divine feminine order type of reality going on here for this morning, setting things up. And so then I'll just go ahead and go forward, and let's look at the full moon. It comes in at 6:36 p.m. Pacific, but I bet it's been gorgeous, Monday, Tuesday, and will continue for Thursday, Friday if you have clear skies. And some people call it, the Farmer's Almanac calls it a blue moon, but it might actually look more blue than it does because it's in Pisces. Pisces is, that's a color of blue, ruled by Neptune. Blue, lots of blue, all different shades of blue. So especially if it's over the ocean, well, it depends on the reflection of what's going on with the clouds and, sun going down, moon coming up. I would think it's going to look very blue. And throughout the evening, of course, when it's dark. When you will see it, at its full point. So the way we work with the moon, the new moon and the full moon, is to look at your chart and see where it's coming in. So we're talking 7 degrees of Pisces. So if you have any natal, planet, or a hot point, like in the ascendant, the IC, the descendant, or the midheaven. So the ascendant is what you're attracting. The IC is, the Imam colon is a past life point where you have gifts. So whatever's there at that point in your chart is where you've been. You've experienced, you have wisdom. It's like a well of wisdom point, a lot like the South Node. And then the descendant, of course, is our relationship and love area, open enemies too. And then the midheaven is how we participate with life, and a lot of people look at it as a career point. It rules the 10th house there. So if you have anything between, let's say, 4 degrees Pisces and 9 degrees Pisces, somewhere in there, between that 3 to 5 degree point, aspecting any hot point or any planet, this full moon might be very powerful for you. It's a powerful point. These are powerful points, that 3 to 5 degree. So that's kind of cool. Let's see. So, but the rest of the chart, it's everything I've been speaking about already. It's just that now, with a full moon, something has really come to fruition. And with Pisces energy, of course, Pisces rules everything spiritually sourced, our empathy and our compassion, and where we will maybe sacrifice ourselves because we're devoting ourselves to something. It has everything to do with art and music, but we do have to be careful because it can be blaming energy where we're feeling, we're pushing our blame out because we're feeling like a victim. We're blaming someone else for what we're not getting. And so we have to be careful there. It's also, it rules, Pisces is also a sign of that rules cults. Also rules immigration too. So there's that, right? So something could come out about immigration, cult-like behavior. We've been seeing that for the last 5 years or more. And that is coming to a peak with this Pisces full moon. Because, the writing's on the wall. You don't have 91 felony counts on you and walk through life looking like you're innocent. But no, he'll milk it and grift off of his cult members. So there's that. We can expect to see even more of that. I do expect to see a gag order, protective order is already placed on him, and I do expect to see him violate it And maybe that's what comes out during this full moon. Yeah. Maybe even before that, actually, because he has that Sag, he who I'm not naming, has his Sag moon and Sag south node. So as the moon crosses over his south node and Sag, I mean, that's all happening today, tomorrow, you know. But I'm reading this on Thursday, the 24th, right? I think. Yeah. Where am I? Okay, let's move on. So then, next one is Thursday, and we see the moon opposes Mercury retrograde exactly at 7 a.m. Pacific time on August the 31st. So right here, the moon's at 15 degrees. Is crossed over, of course, Saturn with that full moon, and to have the full moon on Saturn is very significant. This is why I went into all of that. And now the moon's moving her way towards Neptune, but before that we have this opposition to, I'm sorry, it's not an exact opposition. It will be pretty soon though. But it's the approaching opposition. So I'll take you through the hours with this one. So Mercury's at 18 retrograde, the moon opposing Mercury. So from 7 a.m. Oops, hold on, let me change this. I have to go. Come up. Hours. Nope. I said hours. Okay, let's make it 2 and see what happens. Every 2 hours, yeah, 16, okay, 17, so let's go back to 1, come on, there we go. So by noon, so between 7 a.m. and noon, this is the cooking energy here with the moon opposing Mercury. The moon in Pisces is, but what about, and people with their argument as to, but you're not looking at this, and I'm talking about that, and because Mercury's about talking, and talking about all these different details. So there's a lot of confrontative, is that a word? It's a lot of confrontation. There's a lot of confrontation going on. Can you tell, even with I was born Mercury retrograde, so I have no excuse. I should be doing better, but I'm not doing well with my words at all today. So Mercury over here, retrograde is, like I keep saying, just the facts, ma'am, right? For us, it can be about going into our negative self-talk. And then there's this confrontational, loving confrontational energy with the Pisces moon that says, wait a minute, you don't need to judge yourself harshly anymore. It's not a big deal as long as you're observing it. Pisces is very good at just, opening up and observing something from a higher self standpoint. And you can really let go of that negative self-talk with this type of because again, oppositions lead to breakthroughs if you work the energy well. And maybe it's that way towards others. Maybe we're more open and we're saying, oh yeah, it's Mercury retrograde. They just said it wrong. It's okay, or they missed this, and it's no big deal. It's life. We're all human, and most of all, that Pisces moon can be very loving and open, and it can also be delusional and drug-oriented and alcohol-oriented too. So, especially moving towards Neptune, this could be a Thursday that you want to be careful about when it comes to health issues and dietary, guidelines that you're maybe have been committing to. This might be a harder day. So, what works for me is the out of sight, out of mind. Like, I might have a couple little secret stashes of chocolate, like dark chocolate, if I if you get a craving, which I hardly ever do, but and if I do, it usually passes. But I do have it stashed. I just don't have it out where I can see it, because if I see it, I'm going to go just want to grab it, right? So I try to not buy things that I can't eat. But I do have a couple secret stashes just in case. I just don't put them out, And then it's so funny because I'll usually forget about them and then go, oh, I didn't know I had that back there. Back in the pantry. So you can maybe use my little trick. And then, the other thing for me at least has been you just have one bite and that's all. You don't need to have more, right? That's the thing. Yeah. So let's see, what else? With the moon opposing Mercury, it's moving towards Neptune in this lovely, in conjunct to, again, back to balance, right? So every hour that the moon moves forward, let's see how far, until we get to, it's probably going to take us into Friday. Nope. Yeah, 7 p.m., 4 degrees there. Yeah, so there we are with that 3 degrees, the in conjunct to the south node, the moon conjunct Neptune at 8 p.m. Connects up to the south node in Libra, which is wanting balance. And it could be a lovely evening for movies and hanging out with friends, and especially with Mars moving forward in Libra too. This can be really good for friendship and loved ones. And you can see we're within 8 degrees of the Sun and Mercury. So there's a lot of talking, a lot of work, a lot of, I don't see it as being so much as nervous energy like when we had Mercury and Mars together. But the Sun cooking together with Mercury can definitely help us to be more grounded, and we have more details and more order going on in our life, and then we from within that order we can relax more, because you know how it is when you have, it's like studying for an exam or any type of testing or any new project you've got going on. The more you've studied and you have a structure, like the modality that you're working in, and you know the modality, then when it comes, when either the event comes or the test comes, you can relax into it more because you've really worked it hard in the past, or worked it thoroughly would be a better Virgo energy. Yeah, hard work too is Virgo and Capricorn, right? Yeah, we almost have a kite aspect going on there, but not quite. So, okay, let me go forward and let's look at Friday. We have the moon moving into Aries at 7 a.m. Pacific time, September 1st. And now we're still in that opposition to Mars. The moon opposing Mars has picked, or not still in it, we do have an opposition now. So this can be kind of heated. It can be a heated morning where, because, the moon in Aries just wanting to go, but wanting to connect, because the moon is about connection, and it's about attaching to something that it can actually respond to. It can be very intuitive, but it's fast. The moon in Aries is fiery and fast. Ruled by Mars, and it's opposed by Mars, but Mars in Libra is wanting to balance things out. So it could be fun, actually, if you have a friend who's funny and, and wants to connect. This could be a lovely morning. Let's see, what else? There's a little semi-square here to Jupiter, from the moon to Jupiter, so it is wanting to get something done. And so that connection to Mars, I think, is actually good. We do have a semi-square here, you can see, from the Sun to the South Node. So again, action because details have come in and work wants to be completed, and Libra energy can be a little bit, well, the downside of Libra can be procrastination because you just haven't gotten there yet. You've been busy doing other things. But by the time, this Friday morning rolls around, I would say there's action that will come through because there is some little bit of a tension field there. Yeah. Okay, let's see. What else? Yeah, well, the sun it's a waning opposition going on there with Saturn. So again, just I think more news, more spotlight with the news, but could be really good for putting the finishing touches on some type of an artistic or musical or any project that requires the attention to detail. Something might be culminating and finishing up there, or has been already, and maybe you're still working with it. Okay, let's see what else. The moon has a sesquisquare here to Venus, so maybe there's some, I don't know, I can't really say how, well, a sesquisquare is stubborn energy. But the moon in Aries, I guess it would just be, if it's stubborn, the way it's going to play out is the moon in Aries is going to make you go, okay, I'm out of here. You're still doing that thing, whatever it is. If it's a drama king or queen thing going on, you're going to be like, all right, goodbye. We'll talk later. Not today. Okay, so let's go ahead and go to Saturday. And Saturday we have the moon has made it all the way to Chiron. So we have 3 degrees here of separation, and every hour that goes by, it'll get tighter and tighter and tighter. So, and this comes in at 9 a.m. Pacific, so 12 noon Eastern. And the moon conjunct Chiron. Well, again, like I said, the moon intuits something, and the moon can definitely relate to the public. And Chiron in Aries, both of these in the sign of Aries, can be somebody that's, being a little bit daring, or it can just be someone starting something new. This can be a new start. And if you've worked through your deepest wounding, then your gifts come out. And this is not a problem. It's actually good because it can be a major point of positive self-assertion, which is always good. A little shameless self-promotion, maybe. But the moon is in an inconjunct quincunx to Mercury, right here exactly. These are really tight orbs when these come through. So Mercury retrograde. Well, okay, with this one, you might want to be careful about what you say, because if it's coming from your gifts, that's good. But if you're coming from your deepest wounding that's been triggered by somebody who said something over here, or you've been judging yourself too harshly, which usually means that you judge others harshly as well, you're going to want to be careful there, right? Or if somebody has been judging you too harshly and you've had it because of, that's the thing is, there's justice and there's equality, and there are the laws and there are rules, regulations, all of that, coming from spiritual law and government. But when it comes to somebody just judging you harshly, it's not your fault, really. Except when we're dealing with these greedy, corrupt, I guess the best way to work with that energy is just to bless them and send lots of light on their path, because it's going to be a painful situation for them anyway. And us sending them negativity doesn't help. But all that said, who doesn't want to see justice so that the harm can stop? And that may very well be something that we see by the end of the week that has come full blown out into the news. And people who want to run roughshod over others with their words and getting their own way, they are going to, have some stubborn energy that they're digging into, and then we're going to be seeing that and witnessing that, and, we just have to hold space for it and keep sending lots of love out there, because it doesn't help to send hateful energy. I mean, that just kind of comes back on us, and it doesn't help anything. I guess we can have some fun with it here and there, and I'm certainly guilty of that with my, I have my little dumpster over there with my troll doll, that. But I do, when I think of him, I do send him lots of love. I just see him as extremely wounded and hasn't taken the self-responsibility, which is Saturn, especially in Pisces, to heal. And that's on full display with this, and you can see Mercury's working its way back to that opposition, Mercury retrograde. Let's see, Mercury retrograde goes back to 8 degrees. But Saturn, so we'll only have like 5 degrees separation because Saturn moves so dang slowly. And I can't remember when Saturn goes direct. I'll have to look that up. Oh, it lasts until November 4th. November 4th. Yeah. So, yeah. It'll be here before we know it, right up to, yeah. So anyway, let's see. The Mercury opposing Saturn, again, will just be that details and the facts versus, this constant details coming out as these two cook together, as the Sun and Mercury come together. Details coming out, and then people trying to evade the issue when it comes to the law, because again, Saturn is the government. It's all forms of structure in our lives. So the more we work with our spiritually based foundation of love and truth, which is the same thing, and trying to create more happiness and joy on the planet, and wishing everyone have happiness and joy and safety and have all their needs met, and most of all, that Mother Earth is healing. Now, there we are with the Venus energy, the Venusian energy definitely is Mother Earth energy, and the more heartfelt responses that we can, emanate and actually physically, donate, and all the daily little tiny things we can do to not waste, resources. It helps. It really helps. And especially with the big things like flying on planes and driving unnecessarily just for fun. I've been getting into a lot of those 4K, like you can see everything under the ocean, and the travel, 4K travel, on YouTube. I love it. It's not as good as being there, but it's, what else are we going to do? Because this, what we've been in so far is insanity, and it has to stop. So, okay, talk about, getting to this serious point here with Saturn. The moon, so Saturn in Pisces, but then the moon conjunct Chiron. Yeah. That's serious. All right, I'm going to close this up and wish you so much love and support, and have a wonderful week. Take good care. Bye.